John Patrick Shanley, Timothée Chalamet, welcome to On Stage. Congratulations on Prodigal Son. What a moving piece.
Thank you.
Now, John, let me start with you. This is a very openly autobiographical work about your years as a very bright but troubled teen in the mid-'60s, and this is at the time that you were at prep school in New Hampshire. Now, in the play, you call this time of your life a special, beautiful room in hell.
Yes.
First of all, what made you ready to tell this particular story at this point in your career?
I think the thing that initially triggered it was I have two sons, both 23 now, but I went through their teenage years with them. And I, at every turn, was reminded of when I had gone through the things that they were going through. And at a certain point, I really wanted them to understand that I understood what that was, what it was like to go through those things. And that was the initial spur.
And when you were looking to cast the young you, named Jim Quinn in the play, what was it about Timothée that first struck you that said, you know, he's the one to play me?
Well, you know, it's very hard to cast yourself, and I don't really know how to do that. So the best that I could do is I got the most talented, best-looking guy I could find and said, you be me.
So, Timothée, what was it like for you being him, who's not only your playwright, but also your director?
You know, it was an honor. You know, I did have to audition for this a number of times, and that provided a blanket of security by the time we came around to the first preview or even the first rehearsal, because I felt like, okay, I must have done something right. And if it was the kind of situation where I had an audition for it and I was coming in and I had to play someone as I don't know, charismatic and impactful as John, that would have been scary. But like I said, I had auditioned for it, so I did have a little bit of a Shanley swagger by the time I went in there for the first time.
So how do you begin to approach a role like this? Are you just going with what's in the text, or how much are you going with talking to John about what the real experience
Well, I
is
was lucky
like?
that, you know, John wrote the play, obviously, as you said, and he directed it. And that was a real gift, because I'm not just saying this is very generous as a director, and you know, as someone, this is the first time I was doing this kind of thing, doing a play or handling a role this big. That was very important for me, because I kind of got to feel out what I was doing for the show, but also as an actor for this first time rehearsing this play. I'm lucky. 85% of the stuff this character does or is compromised of, I can relate to in real life, coming from New York, all that. The only thing I really don't relate to is the violent streak that John had when he was my age. That's about the only thing I can relate to, but everything else, it's easy because I've gone through all of it.
Now, John, in your note in the playbill, you mentioned how very autobiographical the piece is, and that you said most of the names haven't even been changed. And then you go on to say, quote, I wish you could have been there, you meaning the audience, I wish more generally that you could have shared my whole life with me so we could discuss and compare. These plays I write are the best I can do to make that possible. So what do you get out of sharing your life with audiences?
I think in my way, the same thing that everybody hopes to get through the experience of being alive. I think that we don't really want to be alone. I think that society is a central part of the human experience, and that it's through one of the big ways that you get to see yourself is through how you are reacted to by other people. And that's a very important formative experience. And that later, when we go through all the things that we go through, facing mortality and loss and heartbreak, when we look around and see that those are things that we're not going through alone in a vacuum, but that other people have been through that and will go through that again, that's a real solace. And I write plays to get that solace and to give that solace.
What about sharing other people's personal stories? Because I noted, you're just talking about this, I was revisiting an in-depth profile that was done on you in the Times from 2004, the fall of 2004, when you had 3 plays running off Broadway at the same time, one of which was Doubt, which you went on to win the Tony and Pulitzer for. And the reporter had gone with you on like a family reunion outing, and she talked about when you got to this picnic, like a lot of the people kind of moved away because they knew, you know, with a writer in the family, that you know, everything is fodder for your material. So how do you feel about sharing other people's stories so publicly?
Well, I think that my family were reacting to the writer being the journalist, not me. They still trusted me, fools that they were. But in this more recent case, when I wrote the play, before I did it, I sent copies of the script to the children of the headmaster and his wife that are depicted in the play to ask them if it was okay with them. And also to my former roommate, whose name I also hadn't changed. Was it okay with it? And if it wasn't, that I would change their names.
You had to get permission for all the names,
I didn't
real names.
I didn't have to,
no? Okay.
but I did, and they all ended up coming. In fact, everybody, that school was only in existence for 12 years, back a very long time ago. They came in a theater party of over 100 people to see the play. Faculty members, former students, and their spouses, and it was kind of an amazing afternoon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh, sure. And Timothy, we're almost out of time, but let me ask you, it's such a coming-of-age tale. Has it changed you at all? Because I know in one article you talked about seeing how a lot of what John had gone through is somehow similar to some of the issues you've dealt with, and seeing he came through at the other side, very successful, and you talked about how it's kind of helpful.
Yeah, I mean, that's the note I got consistently throughout rehearsal from John was, this guy makes it out. You're gonna survive. You're gonna be all right. And I'd say, I don't know, John. I think the scene has to, you know, this kid is miserable. Online, the play is described as a violent portrait of a lonely teenager or something like that. And this play has inspired me in the sense that knowing John has been through everything I've been through and I'm going through right now, and like I said in that article, has come out the other side alive, more than alive. A joyous guy, if I can give you that, label. But yeah, it's seriously not optimism, but gives me hope. It gives me hope. Anyway, that's dramatic, I'm sorry.
Okay, well, unfortunately, we're out of time now, but I want to thank you both so much for coming in, and the show is Prodigal Son, Manhattan Theater Club.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks so much. And Prodigal Son is running at the Manhattan Theater Club's Stage 1 at New York City Center